Hello everybody and welcome to Cause and Effect, a show about VTES. Today we have a special guest with us, that's Otso, and I'm going to try and pronounce his surname, Saariluoma, is that correct?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Okay, and it's of course the winner of this year's EC. And I would like to present my co-hosts as well. This is Otso. Say hello.
Hello.
And Isak Jespersson-Järmark. Say hello.
Hello.
Okay, so before we jump into the full-packed special EC show, I thought that Otso would get a chance to introduce himself to the viewers. So, Otso, who are you?
So my name is Otso Saariluoma, and I'm 25-year-old psychology major here. I live here in Turku, Finland. It's in southern Finland. And I started playing VTES in, I guess, 2002. And I guess that's about it.
Okay, cool. So you study psychology. Do you get a use for your studies when you play the game?
Not really. I don't think they combine all that well, but except for some game theoretical point of views, but it's not really. They don't really combine all that well.
Okay. So no psychic superpowers. Well then, just ordinary gaming powers.
Yeah.
Well, we're really glad to have you here, and I'm proud that you're willing to be on our show.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Okay, so part one of this show, we are going to talk about the EC, like in general, discuss the finals, and then more in length discuss the final of the EC, day two.
Anders, you probably point out that Otso actually won the EC this year. Could the for those who weren't there.
Okay, sorry, I thought I did. Yeah, but let's have a hand for Otso winning the EC this year.
Right.
Yay!
Hooray!
Hooray!
Okay. Well, it's the winner, obviously. I lost my drift. And in part two, we're going to, in length, discuss Otso's deck, which you won with. And then, of course, we are going to announce the winner of this week's challenge and challenge you guys anew. I think that's about it. If we have time, we might take up this week's combo. So, anyway, let's just jump. Okay. How have you guys' VTES fortnight been? All done.
Well, aside from the EC, which I think we'll talk about, I got really inspired of deck building after the EC. So this last week's Wednesday games, I had 3 new decks, all quite fun to play actually, and managed to win 1 table, and I think 2 tables my decks won.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Were there any do you have a theme when you build the decks, or it's just different?
No, it's more like I just went for it. Like normally you get ideas like I want to build this deck, and then maybe you do it on the computer. But this time I actually put the decks together.
Okay.
So it's more wacky than the normal way.
Okay. So how has your week of VTES playing been since the EC?
Since the EC?
Yeah.
Not really much of VTES for me. I think I got sort of fed up but I have to say, just like after almost any tournament, I have a hard time sort of getting my thoughts or VTES out of my thoughts. So it just keeps coming back and I go over and over these sort of different games and some plays that I made during the weekend. So it's been pretty much trying to get out of the VTES scene for the last week.
Okay. Well, that's really understandable. Isak, how have you been?
It's been great. Apart from performing really well on an EC, for me at least, apart from that, I've talked to some guys doing the EC, but I'm starting to obsess with cyanosis, like the group 2 Truya, and Wash. I've been constantly talking to my wife about this.
So you're like, okay, now Anson, Cybele, and Nana has been figured out. Which other vampires have additional multi-phase actions?
Exactly.
Okay.
And of course, since you want to play a Wash or Sudden Reversal every turn, and not like get any particular drawback. So you like make the other master deck works badly, and you have a master deck that works great. It's like win-win. So that's what I've been obsessing about. And dual form, of course.
Yeah, of course, dual form.
In the same deck, or?
No, a different deck. That's what actually Johannes Bausch told me. But if you play Golconda on the dual form vampire, and the other, like the original vampire, burns, and then you trigger the soul gem if you have one. So you can play Golconda for 9 pools, for instance, and trigger a soul gem and get a new vampire if you had 2 skill cards on the original vampire. So that's hilarious.
Okay, so more or less you can Golconda on a vampire and you won't lose 2. That's the trick.
I mean,
you gain 9 pool and you get a 10 cap with full blood. So yeah. I'd say it's a win.
Okay, no, I think the math is off, but fine. Okay, go.
Yeah.
I get the feeling I'm taunted, but
yeah, I'm trying.
Okay, we're moving on. Have a good week, okay? Fine. Myself, I didn't get the chance to play so much VTES because everyone was in the EC and I couldn't go. But I followed the EC through internet with great pride and joy from Marcus, who posted fiercely. Fiercely.
Yes.
Ferociously.
Like Firebank.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, he posted a lot on the Swedish forum for VTES on Facebook, which was really great for us who wasn't there. And he also made a really great Isak, what's it called?
Transcription?
Yeah, transcription.
I wrote the reports for day 1 and day 2 finals.
Yeah, so kudos to him.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, let's go on to the EC. We could talk about the first last chance qualifier. Did you play it?
I played it.
Okay. What do you think? What did you think about it?
It was a last chance qualifier, and those usually you have some players who actually need to qualify, so they're mostly playing like a fast lead deck most of the time, and you have some players who had already qualified and want to play a goofy deck in a big tournament. So you get to meet sometimes really weird decks, and then you have the good players who want to play good decks because it's one of the biggest tournaments in the year and want to win it. So it's always a bit odd table balance wise. So you can get a really, really bad ground predator, so that your predator don't have any pressure for an entire game, for instance. I faced that some, but it was okay. I think the quality of the tournament, unfortunately, were lower than in Paris. But the quality in Paris was very, very, very high.
Okay.
I don't know if Otso and Adam also played the legendary.
I played the legendary vampire, yeah.
Okay.
Same for me.
Adam?
I played the legendary as well.
Okay, so let's finish talking about the last chance qualifier. How was the finals? Did anyone have any info on the finals?
I watched some of it. There was, I totally lost his name, but there was a Hungarian guy, I think, who won it.
Okay.
He was
Viola Erdos.
Yeah.
He was playing an Animalism Nana Baruku deck. Yeah.
Oh, good deck. Okay. Cool. Yeah, kudos to him. And anyone else has an opinion about the last chance qualifier? Maybe you didn't play this year, but you played the other years. Otso?
Yeah, last year I played the Legendary 2. I never played a last chance qualifier.
Okay.
Never?
Well,
no, Paris was my first EC, so...
Okay. Congratulations.
Cool.
Adam, any thoughts?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, my last one was... Yeah. The last one was in Mallorca. I don't remember my games. Sorry. I got Ivy roll every single game and scared my predator. That was only numbers.
Okay. Well, anyway, so it's a mixture of goofy decks and bleedy decks.
Yeah, because you can see at the finals that the good decks obviously got to the finals. So there were the Namabruku deck who won, and then you have Lutz Presence Vote deck. You had like the old La Sombras with Presence Vote lead deck. You had the Malkavian Group 1 and 2 with the Vegans, and you had like an ordinary Malkavian Kindred Spirits stealth lead deck.
Well, no, there's some error there. There was a law firm. Miriam Bear law firm, wasn't it?
And not the last chance qualifier finals, no?
Okay.
Yeah.
Not according to Extrala. It might be wrong though.
Okay.
I don't think that's correct.
Yeah, but I agree. Yeah, the good players with the good decks were the ones who got into the finals, as expected.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, then moving on to the Legendary Vampire tournament. So what did you think before you went toe-to-toe with the best vampire players in the world then, also?
Yeah, I sort of had an empty bag of tricks. I wanted to bring something new to the tournament, but I didn't have any new decks, so I sort of just at some point I decided I'd play some sort of a corner wall with some carpets and some lunge power. But I played it a few times here in my local play group, and it wasn't all that good. I didn't like the decks, and I just went to Helsinki a week before the EC to play a local tournament, and I played sort of just go forward, obfuscate, dominate, palette shift, mind raid deck. And I sort of enjoyed it and just decided that, okay, that might be fun. And it actually turned out to be a very good deck. I think the Legendary, there were at least 4 other decks with a corner, so I think that would have been a choice. But I also think that at the Legendary, players play really conservatively and don't perhaps have that much of a ulting power, and if threatened, they go sort of into hedgehog mode, trying to just stay in the game. So I think it was a good choice to bring sort of a aggressive deck that can really do some damage to pool and minions.
Okay. So how did you do?
Actually, I got 2 game wins and I think 8 VPs, and I was the top seed going to the finals.
Okay.
So it was good.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Adam, LV, how did you think?
I had the same reasoning as Otso. People were going to play decks that could be really defensive and stay alive. Conservative play-wise. My conclusion was a bit different. I wanted to do something aggressive as well, but I chose aggressively block. I chose an Auspex weenie, which I figured should be able to oust both decks and bleed decks.
Yeah.
But it turned out were more combat than what my deck could handle, so it went quite poorly for me. The deck choice hurt me a lot. and I should probably have chosen another deck.
How did you do?
I got 2 victory points. There was one table I could have won, I think, but I didn't manage to back out fast enough.
Okay.
So
who won? And what did he play?
A Polish guy. We actually made an interview with him, so that will be uploaded sometime. But his
name is Tomasz Isidorski or something to do.
Yeah, his nickname anyways is Izzy on the forums, I think. We played at Airmain's Wall, more or less the one that won 2006 in Turin. So it's kind of cool that a deck that was good then is still good now, like 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, Otso, what do you think about the finals? You played it, you got kind of, I don't want to curse on air, but you got kind of screwed up early on.
Yeah, that's true. It was really more of a battle of the combat decks, as it often is with like 3 combat-ish decks on the table. The Rock Cats had a really good start, and that messed me over. And I think the Rock Cats actually altered like 3 players, and 1 backwards and 2 forwards, and then the arguments that were mostly just sitting there and conserving their resources just went for it and were able to hit the Rock Cats one by one as his deck was empty, and he didn't really have that many out like Peter. It looked for a long time that Peter would get 2.5. At least to me, it looked like Peter would get 2.5 VTES and then the table would time out. But Easy was really able to annihilate Peter's game in quite a short time.
Yeah, because
sort of surprising, but classic VTES, and I have to say kudos to Easy.
Yeah, he played really well, because when they started Heads Up, Peter was like had no library left, and all of his minions were really low on blood because of ousting Cesar, and Easy had like 4 Airmains and 1 Animalism Weenie, all full of blood. You had the rack and a lot of stuff on the table, and only wasted like 15 cards.
Yeah, it's quite actually hard to get into the duel without having wasted lots of resources like that. Normally, if you wall up or play defensively like that, you won't be able to get into the duel in time enough. But somehow we managed. So I think that has a lot to do with the tempo thing. He realized he could play slowly and win by just waiting it out.
Kudos. So what's the main difference? I mean, I've never played a Legendary Vampire. What's the main difference? Do you think different? Do you play different? How do you do it, Alan?
I think, the statistics on it, I think maybe Hugh or Extrala or both of them got there's like half the amount of game wins, by percent during the Legendary. So people were playing more conservatively. There's lots fewer game wins around. And I'm not sure. Maybe it's because people, the good players are used to being able to talk their way to little tiny advantages that will make them out, do 1 more pool damage for the entirety of the game. And with only good players around, you will not be able to convince others to help you as readily, and then it might be harder to get your victory point or your game win with a deck that could normally get a victory point or a game win because you had a little bit of help. So maybe this, it's, for me at least, it's a totally different game playing the Legendary than playing a regular tournament, because tabletop gets you so much less.
Otso, do you agree?
Yeah, I think that's true. You can't really persuade people to do whatever you want them to do. It has to be sort of they really can think the game out in their own terms, and you have to realize that.
Yeah, because you can't rely on other people wasting their resources in your advantage, because it is the 25 best players, or more or less top 50 at least in the world. So they know when they waste resources and not waste resources, and that way you have to have more ousting power in your deck than you normally need, because you can't talk yourself into full damage on your prey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. We'll move on. Day one. Were you in the finals day one?
Yes, I were.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about day one.
Day one was, for me, it was great. It was to expect. It was a higher quality of decks, and I think it also was a higher quality of play than the LCQ, and that is what's to expect. Not as high quality as the day 2 legendary vampire, obviously, but overall it was good. I faced Errol Hammer in the finals, and I actually faced him round 1 when we ended up in the heads up, and I made a mistake and I lost that game. I don't know if I could have won otherwise, but yeah, it was kind of weird. I actually, the last table I won, I faced 2 people, I think. Yeah, 2 players, my Predator and my Ground Predator. They hadn't seen Girls with Find, so that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
free win. No, I'm sorry.
It wasn't for free, because
that was really costly.
I were hunted by and went through Obfuscate, a Marcus Vitale deck. So all of a sudden you can get like a banishment and a mind rape and then a purge and then game over. Yeah. But it didn't end up working like that. But yeah, but that was kind of weird because of all like the hype, like a high, like a well-known deck, Girls Will Find, but they didn't see it coming. So for me, at one game, this is a general theme. I don't know if Otso and Adam agree, but there were a lot of incessant talking. Like talking just for talking's sake. It felt like, at least. Just talking about like the smallest of things. Like talking for 15 minutes about a boat, and the 2 guys that talked, like an acting vampire, a player, and a cross-table buddy. And the cross-table buddy says to him, I don't want you to call that vote, but the cross-table buddy couldn't do anything about it. But he sat for 10 minutes and talked about the vote, even though he didn't have any delaying tactics, he didn't have any like Falcon's Eye or Eagle's Sight, and they didn't have any votes.
Didn't you say anything about it?
Yeah, I sat for 5 minutes and told them just do the action, because there were nothing to talk about.
Of course.
So at one point I had to oust 3 people in like 15 minutes. That was very stressful.
Okay, but you managed. Well, kudos. What do you think about the meta first day? Also.
Yeah, I think it was actually more conservative yet again than I expected. I sort of compared to Paris, and I think there were decks that played more slowly, building up resources, and I timed out the first 2 tables I were at with just one Metasler going out, and I think it really hurt everyone. But of course I was playing Orpheus Weenie, so given a table where people don't really use their resources, it's going to be hard to win anyway. But I think also that there were more sort of archetype decks. When I sat to a table, I think I pretty much knew after like the first few turns what everyone was playing, pretty much. There weren't really new decks new ideas implemented to old decks. I think just a few, but this is my impression on the games I played at.
Okay, cool. How did you do? Day one?
I got 1 and 4, so just enough to get to day 2.
Okay, cool. Adam?
Yeah, I was. I had a friend, Alex Boskman, borrow a deck from me for the last chance, which he ended up getting 6th place in. So I decided that I should play that deck for the day 1, and it was a Dementation weenie with the Becoming and Dementation skill cards. Yeah, which. It ousted quite quickly, and I like it. So, but I didn't manage to get more than, let's see, 1 point total. Yeah, it went really poorly. One game was almost a game win for me, but a lot of stuff happened that I couldn't do much about. And I ended up being like 1 pool difference away from ousting my prey, and then next turn he plays Week of Nightmares and ousts 2 people. So that was a bit bad for me. Yeah. But,
okay, so no. Yeah, go on.
I'd like to, what Isaac talked about, like table talking. I experienced that as well. That's my 2 points were half points. I timed out with a Kindred Spirit weenie. That should be enough. Twice. That should be enough to show you how much talking there were. And every single table were like, because I was normally the most aggressive deck, so people were trying to stop me from ousting, and that's fine. I shouldn't, you don't want the Kindred Spirit weenie to oust too fast, but the talking ended up making the table time, which was it's not good for anyone. So that was a bit annoying. Lots of talking, and everyone were playing decks that could interfere cross table, so they interfered cross table instead of trying to oust your own prey.
Okay.
It's bad for me.
So, no day 2 for you then?
No, I didn't manage to get to day 2.
Okay, Isak, did you have anything more to add?
Yeah, I wonder what Otso think about the table talk in general. I don't know if you agree with us.
Yeah, actually, in my tables, I think although they're timed, there wasn't really all that much of a table talking. There was a lot of it, but not unusual amount, I think.
Okay.
So, do we have any analysis why there was so much table talk? Was just do you have any thoughts on that? Were there a lot of French people there?
No, there weren't. And then that prejudice is the French people. Maybe it's more true that French players talk more, but they also bleed more, so it all works out.
There's a difference between talking and ousting your prey, and talking and denying VPs over the table.
Yeah, because I think that's the biggest problem, that people are too anxious to let other people get VPs. If you don't get an oust by the 1 hour mark, it's most likely that the table will time out. Maybe there will be a game win, but most likely it will time out. In my experience with these, and people are too anxious to let other players get a VP. People need to die. It's a game about ousting, so you have to let ousts go and save your DI to save yourself for the future.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a quick. Let's move on quickly to the first chance qualifier, and then go into more to depth on the EC Day 2 final. Yeah. So, Adam, you played the first chance qualifier.
Yeah, I did.
What did you play? How did you do? What did you feel about it?
I played. So one of the decks I talked about earlier in the show that I was excited about that I have created. I did the Girls Will Find, but I removed Axinia, and it's just Power Bleed. I played that during the first chance, and it actually turned out to be quite nice because without Vaccinia, you will be deflecting less, of course, but bleeding more. And if you're not being bled, you don't need to deflect. So, and it wasn't that much bleed. So it's quite a nice choice, actually. I had the chance to win one table that was like the worst possible table I've ever played in a game of VTES.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there was like this drunk guy who were talking, like he was adding 20 minutes to every round, like every turn around the table.
Was it the guy who got disqualified because he was that drunk?
Yeah, it was disqualified, and Johannes Walsh, or well, all the administrators for the tournament made a warning that you're not allowed to be too drunk during tournament. So that was quite bad. It was like really bad game, which timed out that I might have been able to win, I don't know. But we played 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think. And we had the time all the time, and eventually the judges couldn't add more time because the next round had to start.
That's too bad.
Yeah, and I think like regular players could have managed the rounds we did within 1 hour, 15 minutes maybe. It was like really bad. But so that was like a letdown. But I managed to sweep my second table, so that was nice. It was like what's that called? Payback or
revenge.
Yeah.
And finally, how did you do?
I timed out. Yeah, so I got 1-6. I timed out 2 tables and got a sweep. 1-6.
Okay. So did you qualify for next year?
Yes, I'm already qualified.
Kudos then. Anyone else have anything to say about first chance qualifier?
I don't know, I was so into the day 2 thing, so I didn't really focus that much on the first chance.
Otso?
Yeah, same for me. I didn't really pay almost any attention to first chance.
Well,
I know actually who won or what kind of deck won. That's quite.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on.
No, I didn't watch the finals, but I know that Shattering Crescendo deck won, like a parody Shattering Crescendo. I'm not sure if there's anything else, like more elements to it, but with Scout Youngwood.
And on Mada.
And Mada and Scout Youngwood votes on Shattering Crescendo. That's quite a fun deck idea, nice of it to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually one of the few new deck. More or less every other finalist were some sort of archetype, but that was like a new deck or innovative deck.
Yeah, well, kudos to anybody know who played it or?
A Serbian guy. I see it on Nextola, but I don't dare pronounce his name because I will get it wrong.
Kudos to the Serbian guy.
Yeah.
Okay, day 2. So.
Actually, I have to say about that first chance qualifier winner that I played a similar deck and actually got it to tournament winning deck archive as it has the same basic elements, and I think it's nice that it might be becoming sort of archetype. I played it I guess almost a year later, this year's Finnish Nationals. It didn't perform that well, as I think people here in Finland pretty much knew what the deck was doing. But if you get like into a table where people don't really know what it is you are doing with a deck, you bring out first, like as decided, I brought out Umada first and then a Scout, and they are, what the heck, what is this? And it's really nice when you get your first like Shattering Crescendo and Parade Shift going, and they start to realize that, hey, this is actually some almost legitimate deck, and it can do stuff that really helps people. So it has nice surprise effects, but I think at least for me, when people knew what it was doing, they relentless and didn't really go below the Shattering Crescendo 3 bloodlines. So it was really hard to out people, at least for me. So it's sort of a good deck if you go below the radar. At least it's fun to play, but
yeah, cool.
Okay, so there's a lot of the victory with the deck is the surprise effect.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Shattering Crescendo is ridiculously strong.
Well, I'd say that Parity Shift and Shattering Crescendo are the two strongest actions in the game, possibly.
Might be.
Yeah,
you could add some more to that, like Banishment, for instance, but I see your point. It's ridiculously strong to make 6 damage out of combat with 1 card, or rather 2 cards, but 1 action.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do they share? They share Obfuscate the Fortitude. What do they share anything more?
I don't think so.
No, they don't. No.
Okay.
I think so.
At the vote, obviously, 2 and 3 each.
Okay. Cool. Moving on. Then day 2. So bring us into day 2. What did you think when you woke up that morning, Otso?
I was like, really? Do I have to play one more day? I was like, I was thinking about going to play with the Mind Rape Parity Shift deck yet again, but I expected that there would be a lot of combat, and I knew that deck just had no outs against it, so I knew that it was really not an option. I sort of wanted to play a stealth vote with some defense against rush combat. I think that would have been great, but I didn't have any deck like that, so I just took my biggest hitter, like the combat deck, and sort of hope that being the heaviest hitter on the table would be enough.
Yeah. Like the potent Animalism deck hits harder than an ordinary Animalism deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Isak, what did you
play?
Yeah.
I played the same thing as I played in the Swedish Nationals. That's Eric Mind Rape Purge deck. And it was, in a way, it's a bad choice because I expected some combat. But I also expected people not to, know the extent of the power of the deck. But that ended up biting me in the ass in the last round. Because in the last round, everybody had scouted everybody. So they knew what I played. The special thing with the day 2 is, for one, everybody plays so conservatively. So if you have something that do an insane impact on the table, if you play like a Mind Rape, Purge, Banishment, a Bacter deck that I did, you can literally turn the table completely over. I expected big cap combat, and if you face big cap combat, Banishment, Mind Rape, and Purge is really, really good. So in that regard, it was the right decision. But in the 3rd round, I had a Kindred Spirits deck as my prey and a Voting Predator, so that was great. But my Kindred Spirits prey is I can't have you on the table, and he bled me out. My prey with Kindred Spirits. He didn't win the table. He ended up with being the last in the entire tournament. So that
it usually do when you back out like that.
Yeah, it felt like I understand partly why he did it, but at the same time it was if you do this, you can't win because he back out.
How big capacity the vampires? Was it the weenie or was it?
I'm mid cap, 5 caps.
Okay.
So there was
more understandable with the mid caps, I believe. Okay. Well, anyway, so what was your strategy to get? What got you to the finals?
I don't know. The 3 games were all very different. In the first one, I sort of tried to balance out the table and to hinder my prey from not getting the game win. And I got sort of lucky with 2 of my prey's minions getting archoned, inner circle members. I know I would never have been able to out him otherwise, but I also got sort of unlucky with my Predator saving my prey with a DI and him having just swallowed by the knight and managed to get the last VP, so it was a draw with a 2-2 and 1.
Okay.
In the second game, I sort of had a free run as my predator was actually it was Isaac playing the Trifosa obedience defensive lead boat,
Yeah.
which we'll see in finals. And his predator was a rocket deck, and he asked the rockets if he can bring out vampires and actually do stuff, or is he just going to rush him anyways and kill him? And the rockets were like, well, you are my prey, I have to kill you. And he never brought out a vampire, so I had a round without predator. And that was really good. My prey was actually playing the sort of same deck as I was, so that was not so cool. It was sort of a mirror match, but I just let him to sort of use his resources and help his prey against the rock cats and lead his prey, and then I just pen-text and rushed him and sort of stole the game win. So it was 1-4 as the Isaac asked me if I can give him a better deal than 0 VPs, and I said there's not so much I can do, and so he self-ousted himself at that point. But 1-4 at day 2 is huge, and I think I was very lucky to get into that table. The third table was I had Dragon Breath round, weenies, and as my predator and rock cats as my prey, and it was really too fast a game for me to get anything going. Pretty much, I was ousted after 90 minutes of playing, and it was surprising that I was there even that long.
Seems really harsh climate, like Dragon Breath rounds and rock cats, and there was a lot of combat, right?
Yeah, at least the games I played, there were 2 combat decks, or decks that could really do combat in every round. So I think I would have been in real trouble with a sort of deck that doesn't have any out in combat.
Okay, so we're gonna go in more to the dynamics of how you played, how do you use the deck that you played later on in part 2. But let's talk about the finals. How was it? Where were you? How were you seated?
So I was the 3rd seed, and I sat in front of Marcin's celebrity gunners or princes with guns. And I knew that, at least I hoped that I would be able to...
What choice did you have there? What 2 decks were...
Either Marcin's prey or Milan's prey. Milan was playing Obfuscate Presence Stealth Voters, at least Alicia Barrows and Stavros. Yes. So I thought Marcin might be better predator for me. I didn't really have other choice. Now, it was sort of just not really much of a choice for me.
Okay.
So Isaac, with his obedience Trifosa deck, I pray as I believe he was confident that he would be able to sort of stop me at my tracks. Me playing the 9 and 8 caps Russias, it was really, I think it was a rather good deck against mine. Yeah. But then, of course, the rock cats decided to sit between the 2 non-combat decks, not getting his rock cats squished immediately, so that was really bad for Isaac, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because ingredients doesn't work on Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. Okay, so how did it pan out? What was your strategy like in the finals? How did you want it to pan out?
I don't know if I had really that much of a strategy going into the game, but after a few rounds when it was clear that the Rock Cats had their setup and they were really the table threat, I knew that it would be really bad for me if they would get the one VP, as I would have been really slow to oust both like the Malkavians and the Rock Cats. So I sort of hoped that the Malkavians would get the VP from them early on, with Isaac bluffing him having the anarchist uprising or whatever in his hand. That would have been good for me, I think, at least if that would have happened at like before 1 hour mark, because I think I would have been able to kill Isaac later and get 1.5 and table control, and I don't think there would have been, that would have been a good situation for me. I think that was my initial plan, but I didn't want to give Isaac too much space, especially him doing rather much backwards in his first turn of acting, playing parity shift and leading me for 3 with Kindred Spirits. Yeah. So I sort of put pressure on him early on, rushing his Quentin with Fame, and it turned out that Isaac was not able to oust Enrico, but fortunately Milan got his game sort of together with a few entrancements on the Rock Cats, and got sort of into stable point of not getting ousted. I think that was pretty much his game plan all along, not getting ousted. Yeah. For Martin, I think it was like he knew that I would be a threat in combat. He was just baiting his time, but there never was, I think, much hope for him. I played rather conservatively. I kept minions out and tapped. I had 1 wake in my hand in case of him playing a parity shift, and I had like 2 carrion crows and some ranged strikes for a rather long time in my hand. So when he finally made his lunge, I was rather prepared for that.
Isaac, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering, what do you think about the Rock Cat, Nangila, Veden, Bruco matchup? Is that an even matchup, or whose favor is the matchup in combat-wise?
I met Rock Cats a couple of times, and I was able to pretty much squeeze them. It of course depends on how much resources you have on the table when you hit together, but I think this is a rather good deck against Rock Cats.
Okay.
And
you don't have a problem with, because they hit for level strength for free, and you can't use set the VTES.
Yeah,
I see that as a potential problem, but maybe that's not it.
That is a potential problem, but I think this version of the deck is rather good against them with if you get the like well marked and guardian angels and like the 2 increased hand size minions, you can have the torn signposts and carrying crows in your hand when you go into the sort of matchup duel. If you just keep them in your hand. So I had 1 matchup during the round 2 against Rock Cats with them rushing at me, and I was able to kill a couple of them, and that sort of scared him away with his last rock catch. He didn't rush me anymore, although I didn't have any combat, so I would have gone to torpor and him staying alive. But he sort of it was I guess it was sort of demoralizing. With losing 2 rock cats, sort of or was it 1 rock cat and 1 Austrian, sort of easily, apparently, with apparent ease. So I think
So you did rush at least once cross table, or
I did rush cross table once, as it seemed that otherwise Milan would be ousted. I thought it would be sort of I just wanted to somewhat grind on Enrico's resources and ability to go forward. But I didn't have all that much time to do cross-table actions, and with 2 dogs on table, I think rushes without stealth are just stupid.
Yeah, agreed.
So, which one were the first to go, and how was the heads up? And, what happened?
So it was sort of a game with a lot of fluctuation. I think Isaac had a really bad start with no trifles at all, so it sort of ruined his game against me. Of course, then the Rockcast might have gone more backwards during the game, but actually Isaac was the only one to get ousted during the whole game, and that happened with I don't know, 4 to 6 minutes left on the clock. So it was a rather slow table, not horribly slow, but rather slow, with a kind of a lot of table talk.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? You managed to do the villain Giant's Blood from the start on Nanaburuku, and Isaac did Parachute of Kindred Spirits to you, as he said, and he said that was because of the Giant's Blood. Was that the truth, or did he do it did he want to back oust you, or was he just getting pool, or do you know the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I think he didn't want to back out me per se, but I think if your predator has 15 to 20 pool and 3 minions on the table, you might want to put some pressure on him just to make him perhaps slow down a bit. And it was sort of a warning that if you come at me, I come at you.
But would he have been able to oust Enrico if he did it forward? Or how much pool was Enrico down to before Isaac died?
1 pool when he played the Golconda. I would think that was very favorable to you also.
Yeah, of course it was. And it was Isaac commented that on Viken forums that he thinks that was a point in the game that really turned it out in my favor, not getting Enrico's Golconda Watchdogs suddened by Milan. As they made the deal that Enrico doesn't go forward until there's some 5 minutes left on the clock, and Milan doesn't cancel his Golconda. That was really good for me, that's true. And I think Enrico should have just broken the deal and gone forward, but I don't think that would have. It might have gotten him the VP, but I'm sure of that.
Were you feeling also when you have 4 minutes left on the clock, right? Were you feeling was a real chance that the game would time out? Without anyone getting ousted?
Yeah, there was a real chance of getting no VPs at all, or getting no outs. So my plan was pretty much just to play my game, and I sort of overkilled the part of getting rid of Isaac. I played Pentex on Maris, and then I rushed into Torpor and blade Isaac afterwards. But at that point I had like no bleed in my hand, and he was down to 5 pool. I had Red Dragon Bound, but that would have been 1 pool loss. So without the Anson gunners coming at me to like lead for 1 and cycling some 8 combat cards from my hand, I would not have been able to oust him that turn. So the game might have timeouted without any DPs.
So it actually worked in your favor, that machine.
Yeah, that's
it launched you when it was like 8 minutes left.
Yeah.
Who was the first one?
It was the Rockets.
Okay.
And
did you make any like mistakes that you regret to this day? Did you do any bad plays during the final?
Well, if I sort of after the oust, I sort of got dizzy, like thinking, "Wow, am I going to win this?"
Blood goggles.
Yeah, and I think the situation when I started my last turn was like Enrico had like something like 5 pool or something, and I could have just played Asher Tablets and gotten a public trust in my hand and tried to get 1 more VP. But my brain wasn't really functioning properly at that time, and I just like shuffled some combat cards in my deck.
Well, winning the EC is fine, I guess.
Yeah. I don't think I made really that much mistakes during the game.
Okay.
Not really. I don't blame myself for anything, but I think it wasn't any brilliant play. I was just playing my position, and
but that's brilliant. Knowing that what I should do this game is play standard and stick to that. That is brilliant. Because some people in the situation overthink it, like, I need to rush cross table and rescue him and play Gonkonda on him and make this really weird, like, jigsaw puzzle of it, when it's just rush, play, bleed, play, done.
Yeah. So there were no brilliant moves, but you talked something about were there like a key moment for you?
Yeah, that's
over in your favor.
Yeah, Enrico played Golconda on Rory Cruised Alicia Barrows, and at that point Milan implied that he had Sudden of Wash in his hand and chose not to play it. I don't know if he actually had it. It would have been a brilliant bluff, but I think he had it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have up like the seeding? Oh.
No, I don't have that available.
Okay. I just realized that I was looking at it myself to get a little bit more to understand the discussion better. I thought maybe our viewers would like to do that as well. But anyway. Okay. Any last thoughts on the final, on your play and such?
Yeah, not really. I hope people can like read the description of the transcript of the finals at the Beacon forums. That hopefully makes this discussion more understandable.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. But I think it was like Milan and Marcin never had really that much of a chance to get the win, so it was pretty much just a battle of us 3. Yeah.
Any of you other guys, you watched the finals? Have any comments?
Yeah, I watched some of it. I was way back in the back, so I had a hard time actually seeing anything. But I think there were not stalling, but most finalists played kind of slowly or slowly-ish, and you can see that in the transcript. It's only an 11-turn game in 2 hours, and that's some timeouts happens at round 13 or 14 or something like that. So slowish game, and it was kind of obvious that Enrico's primary strategy was to get us like no oust, a win by seed.
Yeah.
But that was obvious because he tried to make deals all the time and tried to balance the table all the time to make everybody stay in the game. And that can be very interesting to look at, but it also can be somewhat dull.
Well,
it depends.
That strategy relies on the other players falling for it.
Yeah, but no one wants to be ousted, so...
Yeah, but still. People want oust as well. You're not going to be dissuaded from ousting. Well, you don't want to be dissuaded from ousting anyway.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Anyway, I recommend that people go and go and read the coverage of the finals that Marcus Berg has written. Really good and funny, actually.
He captured really well. We could put that in the comments, yeah?
Yeah, we could put a link to it. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to have a little break. And afterwards, in part 2, we will discuss the deck that brought Otso his glorious victory. And then announce the winner of this week's challenge and challenge you guys anew. So stay tuned for part 2.